Hello, welcome back to Shock's Talks. I'm Shakti. This is my anomalous study hall. It's the place where I come and show up for myself to make sure that I continue to study life's great mysteries. Right now, I'm obsessed with the out of body experience. And so, in the last episode, I was doing a little book report with lots of meandering thoughts on Preston Dennett and his book, Out of Body Exploring, which I found to be extremely useful to me in my own journey to have at will out of body experiences. I've been interested in this since about 2014 when I first picked up Tom Campbell's My Big Toe. And it's 2026 now, so you can tell I've been very interested in this topic for quite some time now and have continued to read and research other books, other stories from remote viewers and people who have worked in the government and in these psychic spy programs to learn their perspective on the matter. I've been starting to dip my toes into the psi world, PSI, and understanding all of the parapsychological perspectives that I can get my hands on when it comes to the nature of reality and consciousness and how these functions of consciousness really work. Sorry, the cats are scratching up the couch underneath me. Hold on. Quit it, Joopy. Stabilize this. Okay. Little beasts. You know when they do that exorcist move where they lay on their back and they use all their claws to like drag themselves along the floor upside down, like under a couch or under a bed? That's what's happening under me right now. Anyway, back to the psi stuff. So I'm trying to really move forward in my own firsthand understanding of the nature of reality. And like you, I've had some interesting experiences throughout my life. And some of them have led to the questions that have drawn me into these different bodies of work, these books that have been written. And I've also been really curious about the UFO and UAP topic because these are all swirling around together and there's a lot of common ground between UAP, UFO, alien lore, out of body experience, remote viewing, consciousness theories, and even ancient spirituality. And all of it points to the need for individual growth and development because no matter which way you look at it from, we are moving towards a more psychic reality. And this is backed by research and things like kids in India studying how to see without eyes, or the schools in Germany that started teaching kids how to do this and other psychic phenomena, or the Psi Games in the United States. The second ever international Psi Games is taking place right now in North Carolina. And you have all of these people who are UFO experiencers starting to talk about religion and spirituality and how that relates to the phenomena. You have researchers like Diana Walsh-Pasulka. She just came out with a new book, The Others. I ordered it yesterday. Very excited to look at that. She's the one that talks about how religious accounts throughout history are very similar to modern day UFO accounts in a lot of ways. And she examines the UFO phenomena through that lens and also many others. So even going back to the work of Leslie Kean, she is the author who co-authored that 2017 article in the New York Times about the Pentagon's secret UAP program and has written multiple books on the topic. She also went down the rabbit hole with mediumship and afterlife studies. So everyone who gets into any of these topics will find their way across the little borders of each one into some other territory at some point or another. So to kind of bring it all back to something that's practical, I am currently focusing on the at will out of body experience. And for those of you who are not familiar with out of body, and I'm assuming you are if you're on this channel, just in a quick synopsis version, to me, the out of body experience is just accessing another type of consciousness phenomena at will. And what categorizes it is this hyper real experience of moving through reality frames, whether it be this physical matter reality or other dimensions, without the body. So you're just traveling with your mind or your consciousness. And the traveling is also a metaphor because you're not actually leaving anything, you're not going anywhere. As Tom Campbell would put it, you're simply shifting data streams. So, all of us being consciousness in a consciousness system have the ability to do this, and it just takes a little bit of effort and understanding of what's possible. So, part of my research, in addition to just having read Preston Dennett's book, is continuing to read through Vibrational State and Energy Resonance, Self Tuning to a Higher Level of Consciousness, a practical and theoretical guide to mastering and understanding the human energy body by Nancy Trivellato. This book right here, and this is a very thick academic text on a technique called Velo, Velo, and I just finished reading. How many pages have I read? I'm just about to start part 3. I read 126 pages so far, and basically it was just the foreword, the foundations for the study of the vibrational state. There was some talk of what Trivellato calls para-anatomy, or the energosoma and paraphysiology of the VS and Velo. So, kind of like, what bodies are we talking about beyond the physical body, astral bodies, energy bodies, things like that, and what's happening with these vibrational states. And then, so there's a whole part 2 about the vibrational state. What is it? The foundations, the sensations that happen when you're having it, how to identify it, who can do it, applications and benefits, which there was a huge list of the benefits, and then research and findings, and then myths related to the VS. So before we start the new section together, because we're going to do a little read along here just to get me moving back in the right direction with this book and into the next section. But before we do that, I wanted to talk about this list of benefits, which goes on and on and on. How do I find a place to start here? Okay. Applications and benefits of the vibrational state. This is the state that out-of-body travelers talk about. It's a feeling state that happens before you're on your way. So it's a very strong vibrational state in the energy body. It's not like your body's actually moving, but it feels very big and very powerful. Like, some people say it's kind of like getting electrocuted, but it doesn't hurt. Other people say they don't even have it and they still go out of body. So this is not a thing that you have to go out of body, but it is a cool state that can occur. And Nancy Trivellato is talking about how beneficial it is and how it can be used for all kinds of things, even if you don't go out of body, if you can start to learn to produce this state. So here are some of the results that she talks about. Basal energetic looseness. Hold on, let me get this lifted up here. Longer lasting and more stable energetic looseness, leading to an increased basal fluidity. Note, condition reached in less time with the VS as compared to when it is reached through the Velo only. Chakral calibration, harmonization, balance, and intensification of the activity of energovortices. That's what they call the chakras in this school of thought. Chakral expansion, advanced longer-term chakral development. Clearing of energo plugs, dissipation, progressive disintegration, or dissolution of intrusive energo plugs. De-assimilation, a more complete phosenic de-assimilation or empathic de-assimilation from sensations or from the physical, energetic, emotional, or mental states of others, previously captured by an energetic coupling. I'm going to just call this clearing your energy. So the first one was loosening your energy, then calibrating the chakras, chakral expansion, clearing of energy blocks, and then you have clearing your energy field, basically. And then ectoplasm, greater possibility of positive ectoplasmic manifestations. I don't know about you, but I'm not needing to produce ectoplasm. But that was something that Leslie Kane did get into deeply when she was studying her work for the Afterlife book that she wrote. And energetic clearing, chakral opening of specific chakras or of the whole chakral and nodic system, and progressive removal of deeper blocks, which is made possible by a more intense energetic activation. Note, such a result does not necessarily mean that all energetic stagnation or nodules that may exist were totally and permanently removed, but basically, this vibrational state can help to clean and clear the energy bodies. Energetic detoxification, maximum energetic decontamination consistent with the evolutionary moment of the experimenter. Energetic potency, increase of energosomatic and even holosomatic power. So this is like your energy body and your thought body increasing in potency. Energetic resilience, energetic self-sufficiency, energetic springtime. It keeps you, it's reaching the condition of an energetic springtime. Energetic unblocking, energosomatic asepsis, which is immediate hygiene of the energosoma, like the energy body, as well as the aura, but with prolonged potential effects due to chakral and nodic activation. That's like the nadis. Holosomatic interflow, improvement and intensification of the exchange of energies between the vehicles of manifestation. So it's actually having a greater impact on thought forms, holosomatic, um, and thought bodies. And then inherent energetic looseness. So this is kind of like the first one, but more permanent. Momentary energetic looseness could just be to get out of the body in that moment. Penta, preparation and ideal qualification from an energosomatic point of view to execute the personal energetic task of assistance. This is the act of going out of body and helping others, which is something that a lot of out of body experiencers talk about. And this vibrational state is, according to Trivellato, a precursor and a helpful tool for doing that practice of assistance work out of body. Personal energetic aura, increased power of presence with an obvious expansion and the size, reach, stability, and sustainability of one's personal aura or energetic field. A self shower, like an energy shower, spontaneous energetic activation, and transcendence, manifestations less subjugated to predominance of geoenergy. So basically, transcending all of the factors around you that are influencing you and rising up into your own energetic agency is my interpretation of that. So there are many other lists that follow this in terms of more of the results. You have the parapsychic results, which are pretty interesting. And you have the energopsychosomatic results, energoneurologic results, energophysiological results, and results related to the intrusion-free condition. So you can kind of get a taste for what this book is like. It's a little bit of a mouthful, I'm not going to lie. A lot of the terms are very long, like many words combined together, but it's pretty interesting and it's very important to categorize these really hard to define things. So I think this book does do a really good job of defining these ephemeral spaces and the bodies that are interacting with the energies around us. And by bodies, I just mean our many non-physical bodies. Like in the yogic tradition that I grew up with, you have things called koshas or the sheaths, and those sheaths are the other bodies that you have beyond your physical. So like your thought body, your emotional body, your energy body, your there's some other ones. I can't remember them all off the top of my head right now. The breath body, pranamaya kosha. Yeah, I'd have to revisit that lesson to give you the exact names of each one. But let's just start this introduction to the VS and the velo technique. The best tool available to anyone to control one's personal bioenergies, and evidently also the VS, that's the vibrational state, is the technique known as VELO, VELO, which is an acronym for Voluntary Energetic Longitudinal Oscillation. So that's self-initiated energy going in a line up and down is basically what that is. This is because of the variety and scope of aspects it works upon. Information available historically indicates that similar techniques have been developed, such as the ones found in yoga related to energetic activation and control, normally referred to as Kriya, Pranayama, and Pranavidya. There are also some references in Tantric Buddhism to the up and down movement of energies along the dorsal spine or close to it with the objective of expanding parapsychism. You also hear about Kundalini rising. This is the same idea, as is shown in the pictures that originally were in the meditation chamber used by Dalai Lamas at the Lukang Palace, constructed in Tibet in the second half of the 18th century. In Qigong, the technique known as small circulation, normally performed in lotus position, also resembles the velo. However, in this case, the flow of energy is promoted primarily in the head and torso, omitting the legs and feet. Qigong's grand circulation technique deals with the flow of energy throughout the whole body, but it seems to be more related to the application of energy in exchanges with people and environments. The velo technique studied here is based on the technique proposed by Robert Monroe and later refined by Waldo Vieira. So Robert Monroe proposed his technique in 1971, and Waldo Vieira created this technique in 1999. Its third stage of perfecting and detailing was presented by myself, that's Nancy Trivellato, at the Second International Symposium on Conscientiological Research held in October 2008 at the IAC campus in Portugal. This advancement in knowledge was possible due to the collection and analysis of field research data on energosomatic control, parapsychism, energometry, and the vibrational state, conducted since 2002 via the individual assessment sessions cited in the introduction of this book. It is important for the reader to keep in mind that for a person with a high level of energetic looseness, almost any endogenous, internal, or exogenous, external energetic stimulus can catalyze a VS. So when you're already energetically loose, internal or external factors can have more of an impact on you, creating that vibrational state. So let's get into this term velo. I like this just for today because I haven't finished a book. I hope you don't mind that we're just reading together just a little bit. And I'm going to keep it pretty short, a short episode today. But this is helping me get back into my motivation. I'm going to lay down and keep reading after this. The term velo, in the classes I taught around the world for over 20 years and in the research mentioned above, it was observed that the majority of practitioners demonstrated a lack of correct understanding about what was involved in the technique and a low success rate in their results. For this reason, it seemed appropriate to propose replacing the old names for a more technical and logical expression. Thus, the new name for the technique was proposed in the Journal of Consciousness. Voluntary energetic longitudinal oscillation is a self-explanatory name since the technique really corresponds to what the term describes, a longitudinal, cyclical movement of energy in the energosoma, that is, a longitudinal oscillation of energy that is produced by one's will. Thus, using the expression velo is helpful from a didactical and pedagogical point of view because it provides greater accuracy in one's technical understanding and avoids ambiguity. So you can see how thorough she is. She does not hold back at all. And this goes into the evolution of the terminology, conceptual, terminological, and experiential deviations. Then we go to the Velo technique. So I've already learned the Velo technique because I work with a group of energy practitioners who studied under this school. Also, the work of Luis Minero is a part of this same group that was building on Robert Monroe's work, a lot of Brazilian researchers. And I think that what's important to remember is that all terminology aside, at the end of the day, it's very, very simple what's going on with any energy technique. It's about mobilizing the will and clearing and quieting the mind enough to create a focus, a visualization, an imagining that begins to create some kind of gravitational pull on the energy body. So by visualizing, by imagining, we can actually mobilize real energies. And this is what's so interesting about energy work. It's not just an imaginary thing. All of these different countries and regions across the globe for all time have had a sense through their own direct experience. Different individuals have gained a sense and an understanding of the nature of reality and of how energy works. And through those individual learnings, bodies of work have evolved and techniques have been developed so that other people can also tap into what certain people figured out. And it all comes down to using the mind to create these visualizations that then start to have a real impact on the energy. And some things that I've noticed throughout my whole life of practicing different modalities of energy work is that number one, you have to be consistent over time. You have to keep doing it to get a good result. You can have a really powerful result sometimes in a one-off situation with a group or an individual that's very charismatic or powerful, or you can have it with yourself in a certain special moment where all of a sudden the stars align and you're just feeling the energy flowing and it's easy. But if you do this over time, you'll really start to notice the patterns of like when it works really well, what makes it harder, what makes it less powerful, what makes it more powerful. And I think that it's all about practicing, 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 practicing. So, in order to do this technique, you first do have to be able to focus and clear the mind, which is why meditation is foundational for any kind of energy work and for all of this out of body stuff, because you have to have some sense of what's going on. You have to have some ability to pull yourself, the observer, away from the madness of your thinking mind and look back down and in at it and see what's going on. And if you can see what's going on, then you can start to work on clearing things away. You can start to find those gaps of silence between the thoughts. And the more you focus on that silence, the more that increases and the thoughts can quiet down. And then you can use your power of imagination to visualize the energy moving. So in my workshop, we will sometimes start at the feet or at the top of the head for this technique, and you just gather your energies. They don't over describe what this means because they don't want you to get overly analytical about it. Just create that intention and notice what happens when you do that. I am gathering my energies. I'm gathering them above my head. And then for your own sake, you can ask yourself, like, what does it feel like? Do I see anything? Do I smell anything? If that helps you, if that makes it more interesting, notice, what does it mean when I say I'm gathering my energies? Does anything happen? And take note of that for yourself. When we do our exercises together, we always have a little moment afterwards to write down any sensations that we felt. So you gather the energies and then you begin to move them. You mobilize the energy down, all the way down the line of your body to your feet. And then you mobilize the energy back up. Notice how it feels as it's passing through all these different parts of the body or the energy body. And you just do that over and over again. Now, the hardest part is just not letting your mind wander off into other directions. It'll happen so quickly. So, the nice thing about a class or a teacher is that they keep bringing you back. In those moments of silence, when we're all just practicing, the mind will start to wander, and you'll all of a sudden you'll hear the teacher say, all right, notice the energy, increase the intensity of the energy. Now try to increase the speed of the movement, or, some little cue that kind of keeps you on task and keeps you going. Eventually, you can oscillate that energy at a higher frequency. You can move it quicker and you can start to induce that vibrational state. Now, for me, I haven't fully gotten to the full vibrational state using this technique, but I have had some energetic looseness happening. And what that feels like, it's almost like once your body becomes still and your consciousness is still alert and awake, your eyes are closed, you start to feel as if you're kind of swaying in a boat. Sometimes you feel yourself expanding beyond the borders of your body. You feel your energy getting bigger or heavier or lighter, or it's rocking like a boat in the ocean, and that's that looseness that you can start to feel. And sometimes that looseness for me feels like a little vibration. Only a couple times have I had the loud noise or like the strong vibration, but I haven't had the full exit experience yet with the combination of the noise and the loud vibration and all that. And I don't know if I will, and I don't know if I need to, because there are out of body explorers that end up not having it. And many of them have it a lot initially, and then later on, once they get good at what they're doing, they stop having the vibrational state. So, again, this is all just one way in, it's not the only way. But after reading everything in the beginning of this book, what I'm learning from Nancy Trivellato is that this practice has benefits beyond just going out of body. So even if all you ever do is this energy work, it's highly beneficial. And like I said, I've been meeting with a group to do these practices for a while. And we not only do the velo technique, but we also send energy with different intentions in different ways. We work on creating a group energy, sending energy to the group. We receive energy, we send it out into the world, we send it to causes, we send it to little issues that we're having in our lives, or we use it to do some work together on a personal project that's important. You can create an energy field for anything, and you can use that energy for healing. You can use that energy for just getting some movement in life. I use it all the time, and it's a very neutral, simple practice. The more simple you keep it in ways, the better, because you don't really want to overcomplicate the mental part of what's going on. If your mind has to do too much work, it will have a hard time letting go when the time comes for it to get out of the way. So keeping the intentions really clear, really straightforward, and not worrying too much about the details is a really nice way to start. That's what's worked really well for me, and that's what my teachers have taught me. So that's a little bit about the velo. I'm going to go lay down and read, and then I'm going to close my eyes and practice the velo myself. And hopefully, it'll get me into a vibrational state that maybe I can use to launch into a midday OBE. So far, I've been having the most luck at like 3 a.m., waking from my dreams and then going back to sleep and intending to have an out of body experience. And the last couple times something cool has happened, it's been what I would call an OBE dream, where I do seem to go out of body, but there's a lot of my own subconscious overlay intermingled with the out of body experience that I'm having. What it looks like is laying down with the eyes closed and then seeing the room and realizing, for me, oh, I'm in a blindfold, but I can see my room. And then I get up and I walk into the living room or whatever. But then it's like a dream is starting. There's more stuff happening that's not waking reality. So it's kind of a blend of the OBE and the dream. And it could just be a practice OBE. But these are the kinds of experiences that people have when they are on their way towards regular out of body experiences. And so, again, if you're someone who's trying to have these experiences, I recommend this work, Nancy Trivellato's book and her channel on YouTube. I also recommend the work of Luis Minero, Robert Monroe, Thomas Campbell, and Preston Dennett. There are so many others, but those are the ones that are at the top of my list right now. I did just order Diana Pasulka's new book, and so I will be adding that to my reading list and book reports coming soon. I hope you're enjoying digging into life's great mysteries with me, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more of this kind of thing. This is what I do here, and please comment and let me know where you're at on your out-of-body journey. I'll see you next time on Shocks Talks.